Hello, and welcome to Ensigns to the Nations.
We're so excited that we actually have one of our children with us today. We have 6 kids. You probably don't know that because we don't normally have, we only have 1 or 2 at a time. One of these days we'll get all 6 of them, but we are excited to have Blake with us. So
I was the firstborn.
Yes.
So I get the birthright.
You get the birthright. We're going to talk about birthright today.
This
is an awesome lesson from Genesis. What chapters?
It was 24 to 33.
24 to 33. And we are going to talk about the birthright. It's a really important part of this lesson as we get into Abraham's son Isaac, and then Isaac's posterity, and down into Jacob.
Yep.
And the birthright that got passed from Jacob is a really interesting story. But before we get into that, we are going to talk about a love story. I have a question for you. What would you do to win over the love of your life? How much water would you carry? How many camels would you give water to? Because this woman gave water to 10 camels, and each camel can drink between 20 and 30 gallons. Do the math. How many gallons is that?
It's like 200 gallons at least.
200 to 300 gallons.
Yeah.
It could have been that much, but it's
That's
all
a lot
part
of water.
It's a lot of water. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of commitment. And it's a fun story. So what happened was, we're looking for a wife. Abraham wants his son Isaac to have a perfect wife. They send a servant to go find one, and the servant goes into his homeland to search for this woman, and it was very specific what he was looking for. It says in verse 14, "And it came to pass that the damsel to whom I shall say, let down thy pitcher, I pray thee, that I may drink, and she shall say, drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. Let the same be she that thou hast appointed for thy servant Isaac." So he knew.
He knew. This is how I can tell if she's kind or not.
Yes.
Because not only will she give me water, but she's going to feed my camels, even though I didn't ask her to.
So he went down to the well where these women were, and he saw this beautiful woman. She was fair to look upon, they say, right? And he said, "Let me, I pray thee, drink a little water of thy pitcher." Guess what she said, everybody? And she said, "Drink, my lord." And she hasted and let down her pitcher upon her hand and gave him drink. And when she had done giving him drink, she said, "I will draw water for thy camels also, until they are done drinking." So she didn't just give them a little sip. She gave them water until they were done. I almost carried a gallon pitcher with me on this walk, just because I wanted to see how hard it was to carry 1 gallon on our walk around the temple. She fed 10 camels. That's a lot. Have you ever stood by a camel?
They're big.
They're big, and they drink a lot. So this is a. We know that this is a beautiful woman. We know that this is a kind woman. And think about Isaac too. What did we learn about Isaac last week?
Well, he's got a lot of faith, that's for sure.
He's got a lot of faith. We think about Abraham as the main guy in that story of the altar when they hiked up and Abraham laid down Isaac. But you know, Isaac was also obedient in part of it. We think he may have even been an adult man at that time, and he just had a lot of faith as well. So this is a great couple. And can I just say one more part about the love story?
No.
There we go. This is important. This is the love story, you guys. This is verses 63 to 67. I just have to tell the whole thing. It's wonderful. "And Isaac went out to meditate in the field, and in the eventide, and he lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, the camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she lighted off the camel. For she had said unto the servant, What man is that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant had said, It is my master. Therefore she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all things that he had done. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and took Rebekah, and she became his wife." And this is the best part. "And he loved her." Don't you love it?
Love at
they
first
certainly
sight.
were a power couple that started off in this very romantic way.
Right.
But it wasn't always easy for them. Right? What happened?
Well, just like Isaac's mother, Rebekah was barren for a while and couldn't have any kids. But finally she did, and she had twins. And those two twins, who later came out as Esau and Jacob, even fought inside her womb.
She felt them wrestling in the
womb. They would
womb.
wrestle in the womb. So Esau was born first. And what happens when you're born first?
Yeah, you get a big head.
Well, and you get the birthright, right?
And you get the birthright.
Yeah, firstborn's supposed to get the birthright. And so Esau came out. It says that Jacob came out holding his heel. And Jacob actually means what does it mean? The usurper or something like that. It's basically take over somebody else's job. And that's
supplanter.
Supplanter, that's what it is, yeah. And so Jacob then, so they're still fighting all the time. Esau was what did he like to do? What was his job?
He was a wilderness guy.
Yeah,
he hunted.
Right.
Hairy. He was born hairy.
That was written in there as Harry.
And Jacob
It's like more of a wilderness man is how I see him.
And Jacob was more of a shepherd.
Yeah.
And who liked Esau the best?
Well, they say Isaac favored Esau.
Right.
And Rebekah favored Jacob.
Correct.
You're not supposed to have favorites.
You're not supposed to, but you and I both know that Blake's our favorite.
It's a given.
Okay,
Yeah.
we do love Blake, but let me just say, this subject came up when we were walking with Jonah, and I'm pretty sure we said.
I know.
Oh, so you switch every time
We
you're
switch,
talking.
but
who's
they're
favorite.
all our favorites.
Yes. So, but
Depending.
anyway, they were, what's his name? Hairy man. Esau was out doing some hunting. He had a hard time, a hard day. He came back to the tent, and Jacob's there, and he's got some food, and Esau's hungry, and he says, I'll do anything for that food. And
it wasn't just any food. It wasn't like it was steak and potatoes. It was a bowl of
pottage.
It was a bowl of red lentils stew.
And I think that's significant, though, as we get into the story a little bit, that it wasn't a huge meal, a potluck.
Right. It was, but he was hungry, and he says,
hungry.
Jacob says, well, will you sell me your birthright? And Esau's like, I don't care, whatever, I gotta eat. So he does. He agreed. That was the difference a bigger difference, I think, between Esau and Jacob, is that Esau didn't seem to really care or understand what that birthright meant. Jacob did, and Jacob really wanted it. Now, it's interesting you brought up that whole story about Rebekah. Rebekah started her life with this covenant family as serving. She saw that the servant guy, and she wanted to help him. She knew that the way to God was to serve. Jacob may be a little bit different. He was one of those guys I think was wanting to get things done, and so did he capitalize on an opportunity to get that birthright when he saw that Esau was so hungry? I think he did, and so he got it. He had the right idea. Yes, he should try for these blessings of whether birthright or whether covenant. But he kind of maybe did it around the wrong way. Later, then he did another little thing like that, maybe a little deception in order to really fully engage that birthright and those blessings. What was that?
Well, it was actually Rebekah's idea, if I recall, to go in as like pretending to be Esau to his father, and then get his birthright from him.
Right, to get that birthright blessing.
He got himself like a hairy coat, just so that because his father was going blind, and that's how he thought that he was giving the birthright to Esau.
Right. So he does that. Esau finds out. He's ticked off. Isaac says, well, you better get out of here. He's going to kill you. And so he does. Jacob leaves. He's going now back over to the old homeland, kind of the same place where his mom was from. And he's going to try his life out. Now, on his way over there, he stops. He stops at a place that his dad called Bethel because it was a holy place for his dad. But what did he do there?
Well, Jacob rested.
Yep.
And while he was asleep, he had a dream, a vision, where he saw the ladder, Jacob's ladder.
Jacob's ladder.
Where angels were ascending and descending the ladder, and he saw the Lord in that vision. And the Lord promised to him, to Jacob, that his seed would be like the dust of the earth and spread to all corners of the world.
Yeah.
And the Lord was making a promise to him for that.
Right. So Jacob got the birthright from Esau with the pottage, got the blessing from his dad, and then, which I think is the most important thing, got the blessing from God. God then said, this is your blessing. That blessing you were talking about with Abraham and all that stuff that you get, all the land and the progeny and the priesthood and all those things, that's Abrahamic covenant, and you get it. And that, I think, was the most important thing. And then I think he kind of thought, well, okay, maybe all this deception and trying to grab this power is not the right way to do it. So yeah, that was a life-changing vision that he had there.
Well, I think another point to be made about those blessings that were given to both Esau and Jacob, they both were still blessed.
Right.
It's not like Jacob took everything. They both were blessed temporally and spiritually. Yeah. And so that's also an important point too. Yes, Jacob got the birthright, but that was honestly just like an added responsibility to some degree, but they both were blessed.
Yeah. The birthright's usually it's twice as much money or land or whatever that is, but it does mean you're in charge.
Yeah.
And you have to take care of the whole family. And then there is the Abrahamic covenant part of it that passes down to that.
And I think about that deception, and you think, did he do it the right way? How does that all work out? And that he got blessed so much when it seemed a little bit, trickery there. But I don't know, part of me thinks too, well, Esau did agree to it.
Yes.
He did say, I will sell you my birthright. So though there was still some deception there, I guess, to Isaac, that Esau agreed to it.
I think God knew what was going to happen and was okay with all that.
Of course.
Because if you had Esau, if it went Abraham, Esau, so-and-so, would we even have what we have now? Where would Israel end up being? I mean, Esau didn't care about any of these things, so he knew that it was Jacob, and that's where it was going to go.
Certainly would have been different.
Yeah. So he goes on, finds now his wife, whose name is Rachel, he loves this Rachel. She comes up and says, whoa, look at Rachel. That's who I want. Goes to ends up being his uncle, who's Rachel's dad, named Laban. And Laban says, well, okay, if you want her, since you don't have any money, you work for me for 7 years and then I'll give her to you. 7 years are up. He goes in at night to have this wedding. She comes out, all her face veiled up, and they get married, and he's all right. It's not her. It's Leah, her sister, who was the firstborn, and Laban kind of says that. He says, well, it's traditional to have the firstborn go first. So he says, well, that's not good. That's not what I want. What do I do now? So he says, well, you can marry Rebekah or Rachel if you go for another 7 years. So he does. So he worked 14 years to get this Rebekah. And talk about another love story.
Another love story. This is our love story week.
They loved each other so much.
He worked for 14 years.
14
Rebekah
years.
fed 300 gallons of water to the camels. It doesn't always come easy. But is it worth it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
So Jacob then finishes all off that. He makes a deal with Laban at the end and takes off. The Lord tells him, you better go home and you better deal with Esau. And he's scared to do that. Again, Esau's a wild man, right? He's a big guy, so they don't know what to do about it. So as he's going home, now with his grown family, his family's grown. He had Leah and Rebekah and some handmaidens, and now he's having more and more children. Of course, you know, Joseph is the first one born to Rachel. And of course, because Rachel's his favorite wife, Joseph was his favorite out of the 12. So then as he's going home, he stops at one spot and he prays, and what he talks about it is wrestling with God. He has a wrestle with God, and he wrestles, and I don't know if this is a real physical wrestle or not, but this godlike figure, this heavenly messenger, he wants to beat him. He says, I'm not letting go of you until you give me the blessing that I want. Well, again, that's not the way it works. You want blessings from God, you're supposed to give to him, but not hang on to him and try to grab it. And that's what the angel says. He says, let God prevail. And this is the first time I've ever really thought about this in the wrestling way, but if this is between you and me and we're fighting, you better let God prevail in this fight, because that's the only way you're going to get anything. And let God prevail is the name of this lesson, and it's what Jacob ends up doing. He lets God prevail. He lets the other guy win in this wrestle, and he then gets his name changed to what?
Israel.
And Israel then means, did you know? Means let God prevail. So now he's Israel. He then goes home. He sees Esau, and it's a terrible, terrible reunion. Is it?
Turned out better than he had hoped for, I think.
It totally did. Esau ran to him. So he's got this guy who he thinks is just, you know, horrible to him and hates him, because that's the last time he talked to him. He hated him, wanted to kill him. And Esau runs to him.
Well, I think it helped that he brought all those gifts, though.
Yeah, it wasn't just goodwill.
That's a real good point. He brought gifts.
Well, he was worried, and he did his part.
Yes.
He's like, what can I do to help this situation?
Yes. He
Make
was
sure
humble.
it goes well.
He bowed to Esau.
Yes.
He was humble. He said he was sorry. So what can we learn from that? Well, we can learn that, you know, if we have to deal with a hard situation like that, be humble, you know, seek guidance from God, all that kind of thing. He said that when he saw Esau's face, it was like looking into the face of God, which must have been
So Esau is a good guy.
Yeah, he
everyone.
Is. Right.
So sometimes we villainize him a lot, but
Right. Well, so we started off with Rebekah and her service-oriented way of keeping the covenants and staying in family. We ended up with Jacob and the lessons that he learned throughout his life that can't be taken and has to be given. And he learned that in the lessons that his life, that the Lord wants him to be humble and let God prevail. Anything else?
Oh, one last thing. I thought it was interesting to learn that the lyrics to Nearer My God to Thee are all to do with this Jacob's Ladder dream that he had. Did you guys know that?
Yeah.
I never really thought about it before.
I didn't either. Right?
Yeah,
but you were talking about that dream, and when he had that dream, he was actually laying down as stones were his pillow.
Yeah.
And in the lyrics, it says, though like the wanderer, the sun gone down, darkness be over me, my rest a stone. Yet in my dreams I'd be nearer my God to thee, nearer my God to thee.
Yeah.
So that's how we climb Jacob's ladder, right?
To be nearer to God.
To be nearer to God, to let God prevail.
Let God prevail,
Yeah.
and right around then is when God came to him and said, okay, these are your blessings. You follow me, you make me your God, and you will get these blessings. And we just let God prevail.
And at the end of this, he makes a vow to the Lord. It says here in verse 20, Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me my bread to eat, my raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God.
Yep.
Very good. I love that.
He promises that he will always be following the Lord's path, and that way he can live up to the potential that God has promised him.
Right, absolutely. Thank you, number one son.
Very good, son of the Birthright.
Yes. Well, thank you for being with us today, and we hope you follow us next time on
Ensigns to the Nations.